and then I need to go to
music.
I can definitely imagine a bunch of like sexy greased up dudes dancing around in this.
Oh, guess who made another post today about yours truly?
Who?
Emperor Bigot. Do you want to know what he said?
What a fucking during Pride he wants to make this fight.
Yeah, well, this is what he said. He said, those guys over at Godstick want to have something to say about me not supporting homosexuals. Meanwhile, they're hanging out with porn stars that deal meth to their kids. And I was like, where was I at for this?
Where did the meth
What
part
porn stars
come
am I
in?
hanging? I don't know. What porn stars?
Yeah. Bad. I turned down the
There you
wrong
go.
one.
There you go.
It reminds me of like the NIFB, just baseless claims they make about like, yeah, being gay means you definitely do this.
Well, like, my thing is this. Look, if you're going to make up a rumor about me, like, can somebody please start a rumor that's, like, actually cool? Like, Kyle's got a 12-inch penis, or did you hear that Kyle cured cancer?
By the way, we are live, but...
Are we really?
So you know, yeah.
Well, that's nothing that I wouldn't say in front of my... Sorry, Mr. Atheist fans. My group's used to that kind of talk from me, so it's not going to be a shock to them.
I was just making sure you knew that and then weren't bothered by it.
I didn't know.
I'm very sex positive, so I'm fine with it. I wanted you to know that this isn't just you and me anymore.
Well, just so that there's no confusion, I do not have a 12-inch penis. There's a lot of lack of evidence for that. So don't start that rumor.
Yeah, but adequate to excess is the way I describe it.
That's what I live by, the philosophy: promise less, deliver more. You can never disappoint that way.
Yeah, that's true. You ever met those people though that are always talking about how theirs is huge, and you just know that it's not?
I can confirm that with facts and past experiences. Usually, it's the people that don't say a word that you're just like, oh.
All right. So this is
then.
where it's the actual podcast. I usually start right here is where it's cut to.
Okay.
Oh, that was meant to be a fade. But welcome to a special version of Modern Day Atheism, which is also our Sunday show that Kyle and I do together. But this week I took Saturday off. I needed a day to diffuse from, undoubtedly, you have all seen the just incredible amount of, what should we call what's going on right now, Kyle?
Pumpkingate.
Pumpkingate is good. Pumpkingate. And by the way, welcome everyone. I'm Mr. Pumpkin. And what would have today's episode been called if we weren't making it Modern Day Atheism?
I dream of pumpkins.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Or objectively pumpkin.
That's fucked up. I like that a lot.
Right.
That's kind of an inside joke, though. So, which you know what is really good for being on air? Inside jokes, undoubtedly.
Right.
We today are going to be reading through some user submitted stories that we prompted out on, what was that, Thursday or Friday? I think it was Friday. Mm-hmm. And basically the most upvoted ones, we'll be reading and reacting to that. Today we're talking about homophobia. Some people did submit, and if it's upvoted, I'm still going to read it. Some people submitted transphobia stories. That's actually something I'm looking to do its own prompt for on another day that I'm going to be doing Modern Day Atheism with actually a trans guest. But I'll include them in here because there wasn't a ton, but just trying to make the explanation like I wasn't purposefully trying to exclude transphobia when I put the prompt out or anything like that. Kyle, do you want to kind of give a summary of what we did though this week on your show and what we've been working on?
I would love to. A hateful group that is related to the NIFB, which is the New Independent Fundamental Baptist Church. People like Steven Anderson, Matt Powell, that sort of ilk, and
who we call
Tommy
Cupcake
McMurtry.
now.
Yeah, that's my apologies. Cupcake.
Yeah.
Steven Anderson and Cupcake.
Yep.
Tommy McMurtry is a pastor at Liberty Baptist Church and released a hit piece on Mr. Atheist. Now, what he did not expect and what he did not understand that he was getting himself into was an onslaught of, let's just say, Pumpkin-geddon, because for the next 5 days that have followed after that, he has been like, if you type in Google, if you type in Tommy McMurtry, pumpkin is going to be the first thing that pops up. If you go to Urban Dictionary and you type in Tommy McMurtry, pumpkin is associated with his name. The man will forever be associated with a pumpkin, and that's justice right there. Maybe there's a God.
But speaking of associations, we should clarify that TommyMcMurtry.com is in no way associated with Pastor Tommy McMurtry or the IFB, the NIFB, or Liberty Baptist Church. In fact, TommyMcMurtry.com is a website where you can see lots of sexually attractive humanoids with pumpkin heads and has nothing to do with Pastor Tommy McMurtry or Liberty Baptist Church. And now I've gotten another like 60 or 70 on it. This is the first time I have hired somebody, and this will be later today. I actually hired somebody to go through and take emails and take the pictures out of the emails of these humanoids, because
brilliant.
Yesterday or the day before, when I was making my video, I was like, hey, and just so you all know, I will be going and I will update the website with all of the submissions. And then I went and actually looked at how many there were, and we're at like 600 or 700 now. So
yep, I'm out.
I hired.
Can I just say too? That's brilliant. Let me just say, on a serious note, you guys out there deserve a huge thank you for everything that you've been doing in the aftermath of that. It has all been for it's not been for naught. We have systematically crippled their ability to take in funds. If you don't know the story, what they're doing, they're trying to hold a conference called Make America Straight Again in Orlando on the anniversary of the Pulse nightclub shooting. It's a disgusting and horrific thing that they're trying to do, and PayPal has withdrew their, they can't take donations through PayPal anymore on their main site. They're systematically getting crippled. So you guys deserve a huge thank you for everything that you've been doing.
Seriously, it has been. I keep making the mistake of going to Twitter and my Discord, because every time I do, I see post after post of people who have added the pumpkin emoji to their name, and that's because I was branded Mr. Pumpkin by this group, because I'm the biggest fruit in the universe, and we decided to embrace it and run with it. And seeing that level of support, the reason why I say it's a mistake that I keep going there, every time I just my brain realizes pumpkin, I start to get choked up and a little bit a bit of a crybaby. It's meant the world to me. Yeah.
Just to point out, if you are the biggest fruit, which you are the pumpkin,
right,
and Tommy McMurtry is sexually attracted to pumpkins.
I understand the algebra you're doing right now. I think let's just leave it there.
Jimmy.
I think we just leave it there. I understand. We don't know whether or not Tommy McMurtry is sexually attracted to pumpkin or pumpkin humanoids, pumpkins and pumpkin humanoids. We don't know. And as my friend Ocean would say, we should ask him. But if he is, definitely, and I'm Mr. Pumpkin,
we have an issue.
Yeah.
We have a big issue.
You could have just asked me for my number up front. Like, really. This amount of work was
Jimmy's
ridiculous.
Pumpkin patch.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I have so many puns now. So many puns.
Yeah. All right. Let's get from what makes us laugh a little bit to, I imagine tonight's episode is just going to make me angry, but also like it will be cathartic, and we will do so in solidarity. We will start reading off some of these and giving our thoughts on each. I made also the mistake on previous episodes where we've done this kind of thing. I said keep your stories to about Twitter length. I forgot to add that part this time, so these ones will be a touch longer. None of them are terribly long, but they're like 2 to 3 tweets sometimes. Yeah, I dropped the ball on this one. I'm sorry, Kyle.
That's okay. I usually it's me. I'm just glad that for once it's not me that's dropping the ball. Usually I'm the
Holy
fuck
crap.
up.
I still have to figure out. I'll probably do a live show on my other channel this week to try and figure out why the fucking phone system. I can't fathom why that wasn't working in our last show together, because they could hear me but none of you, and it did not make any sense. And I was outputting anyway. Okay, you ready to get started? Anything else before we go?
No, I'm ready to dive in. Happy Pride Month, everyone.
Abso-fucking-lutely. I've got some Pride plans for this month. There's definitely going to be a lot more like really gay content this month, and as well as merch that's coming out and stuff. I've had this idea for a shirt for a while, and I actually got a graphic designer involved on this because I'm so bad at all of that. But basically, they keep calling me out as a pansexual, and they just say the word pansexual as though it obviously means something like pansy or weak or whatever else. So I've got specifically some pansexual Pride merch coming out soon. That
I've got Larry Kink. I'm drawing up Larry Kink.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, my God, yes. Oh, my God, there's so much you can do with that already. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Okay.
The suspenders are going to be the leather harness.
I knew that when you said it. I didn't want to spoil anything.
And guess what the microphone's going to be?
Oh, yes. I will buy that merch. Mm-hmm. I'll be first in line. So here is from, you know what? I didn't say, I have on past prompts, I didn't say whether or not I would share usernames. So just to err on the side of safety this time, I won't, especially because these are people sharing personal stories and stuff. And so it probably is better not to anyway. But first story, more casual biphobia than homophobia. But when I came out as bi to my parents, they insisted I was just confused and lonely, but straight, which is weird because I've always been the most stereotypically gay kid. They did the same thing, but in reverse when my sister came out as bi, insisting she was just a confused lesbian. Again, odd because she's the stereotypical straight acting girl of the family. Oh, and my dad thinks there should be a straight Pride Month. Oh, fuck this. Also a White History Month. He's that guy. Thinks flower crowns are gay and that his son shouldn't have a pink notebook or wear cat ear headbands. So he's fun to live with. They're all gay people. They are all... Gay people are good and okay and deserve rights, and homophobia is bad, but still do stuff like treat the subject of queerness like sex or something and censor all mentions of it until we were 16 and out. Casual implicit bigotry, the lifeblood of the moderate centrist white Southern family. Where to even begin with that one? Jesus Christ.
Well, here's a good... Speaking of your you cannot have a pink notebook.
Yeah.
I have a pink one with flowers, and I am absolutely proud of this thing. Look, and I put a tweet out this morning, sort of about this issue. Pride, to me anyway, everybody's going to have their own definition of what pride means to them in this month. To me, though, it's not about gay or straight. It's about being who you are and being true to yourself and choosing to not live for anybody else but you, because a lot of us in the LGBTQ plus community, we lived our lives for a long time according to someone else's rules, according to what would make someone else comfortable or uncomfortable. And to me, pride is when you say, okay, I'm done with that. They're going to have to deal. I'm going to be me, and I'm choosing to live my own truth. And that's what pride means to me.
Yeah, so straight pride, first of all, if you want a straight pride month, it was the last 20,000 months in a row. Like, as far as the whole idea of pride isn't we're proud of something that we just are, because that's a frankly ridiculous concept. It's that we are proud of something that we are despite society and the overall tendency to try and suppress our voices and suppress who we are. We are proud to be something that is wonderful and beautiful, even though it has been tried to be painted as disgusting. And this is the same thing for not just things like Pride Month, but Black History Month, because she mentioned, or he, I think it was, mentioned that they... that their dad also thinks there should be a White History Month. It's most months of the year. Like I learned plenty of white history in school.
Oh,
in fact, not only did I learn a lot of white history, I learned a lot of whitewashed history. Like this. It's about proud to be something that we shouldn't have ever been ashamed for, but society insisted we do so.
Yeah, and there's a reason why we have these months and these sort of singling out these groups. It's because at some point in history, they were discriminated against. They were cast down upon. They were, held down and not been able to be their fullest person. And now when things are to the point where they can actually be their full potential, we should celebrate that and not sit back and go, oh, well, we don't get ours. But that's such a horrible way to look at things.
Right. And the biggest thing is the people who generally want to suppress pride and who generally want to suppress things like Black History Month and things of that nature are people who remember the good old days. There's the show called American Dad, and I know some people won't like that. I like that show because it gets pretty ridiculous sometimes, but I love that show. And there's an episode where Stan becomes best friends with a Satanist, and they're lamenting about their things in common. And one thing in common they have is that they hate how now white men only have most of the power instead of all of the power. And that's a pretty good summary of, it's specifically white dudes that's what they're lamenting. They're like, do you remember the days where anything that made us uncomfortable or we didn't understand, people understood that if they brought it up, we would hurt them? Yeah, those days are over.
It's funny to me. You mentioned the people who wants to try to like silence things like this. I got that tweet that I sent out this morning. I got a response from someone, just one person, and they said something to the effect of, "Stop shouting about your sexuality and who you sleep with. Atheism has nothing to do with who you have sex with. So shut up about it already." And I'm like, okay. What is going on, like, deep within your mind where that was a good idea to a post about celebrating other people's differences? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it.
Can you imagine if we actually, your show doesn't say atheism in the name, but mine does. It's Mr. Atheist. And I will get that all the time, especially when I cover GRSM issues. And it's always people that are like, hey, what does this have to do with atheism again? Can you imagine if I actually did an atheist show almost daily, like a purely atheist show? It would mean that every day the camera would turn on and I would say, I would just like to remind you that I neither believe there is, nor do I deny the possibility, but I lack affirmative belief in God. End of show. Or it would just be like people giving their points about the Bible, and I would just go, I disagree because of a lack of demonstration. But if you demonstrate it, I see your point. Like, this would be the most boring show ever. Mr. Atheist happens to be more than just an atheist. He's also a pumpkin.
I can see that. I can see that criticism more coming towards you than me, though. I literally do shows on things that defy human comprehension, like flat Earth, and like I don't just talk about atheism. So neither of these channels, either of our channels do. So there's more to life than just atheism all the time. And when it comes to months like these, where you're sort of putting your support behind a community, we're not going to let people like you take that away from us. So don't even try.
I can honestly say my show is not remotely motivated by my atheism. It's actually motivated by my secular humanism. Now, I guess I could have done a show called Mr. Secular Humanist, but it just doesn't roll off the tongue as well. And I prefer my show where I actually talk sometimes about the things that roll onto my tongue. Okay.
It is your channel too. Remember that. I love how. Just remember, like you are in control of your own channel. We will do as we see fit for our channels. Thanks for the input, but
yeah, exactly. And frankly, if you think you know how the best atheist channel would look, go start it. I'll sub to you. You probably won't ever get more subs than me, but I'll sub to you.
I won't.
But yeah, I was lying anyway. Okay.
Okay.
Jane Caruth says, oh, I was saying I wasn't going to the name. Not that name. I don't know. What should I do here? It's too late. This is the live show. We're fucked.
Sorry, Mr.
They said, hey, have a great show. Okay, now on to the next message, which is not from them. Did I cover that? Okay. I'm transgender.
Yeah. It's totally
I'm transgender, so I have a lot of transphobia to deal with. That sad thing is, excuse me, I got a little bit of heartburn. The sad thing is most people don't realize they are doing it. I've had multiple people tell me, why didn't you stay a girl? You were so much prettier. Oh, fuck. My guidance officer...
Yikes.
Yeah, right. My guidance officer in high school told me that I couldn't use male pronouns because it would confuse people. My mother's saying, so you have a boyfriend. I knew you were a girl when I didn't get around to changing my name on social networking. My name is Connor. Sorry, Connor. I used the name obviously at the beginning here, and I meant to not use any. People would say I was faking it for attention. My parents would tell me not to talk about it with my family or ask them to stop calling me by my dead name. Again, like, it's funny how people say, like, I'm not transphobic, I'm not homophobic, but they keep living in those lands where if I don't learn anything, then I'm not homophobic on purpose. I'm not transphobic on purpose. So when I say, like, oh, see, you are a girl because you have a boyfriend, which is the implicit idea that all girls are straight, which is a homophobic idea, it's just this... It's just amazing the way people go, oh, no, I'm fine with that. I just don't want to know a fucking thing about it, and I don't want anyone to call me out when I just speak with complete and utter ignorance. And Kyle, I know you know who I'm talking about, so I'll just leave it at that.
I do. Yeah. I will embrace it with a nod and a smirk. But yeah, there's to me, intent is everything. If somebody is intentionally trying to malign you or discriminate you, call you the wrong pronouns, there's no reason to put up with those people whatsoever in your life. Like, just cut those people out. You want to you want to live the happiest life you can, and you can't do that when there are people in your life that you keep there out of whether it's a sense of loyalty or whatever the reason. Cut those people out. As soon as you get rid of the negativity, you'll be amazed at how much your life will improve, and surround yourself with people who respect you for who you are.
Well said. I'm curious what you think about the idea, though, that so in kind of talking about how, like, clearly these are people that Connor had to see daily, and that Connor would have to have repeated problems with because of their ignorance. At a certain point, do you believe that ignorance becomes intentional? I say this all the time regarding religion. Like, you can't, in the information age, ignorance is a choice.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. If you're presented with, especially repeatedly, if you're presented with the facts or the evidence or the reason why you're incorrect about a certain thing, and you're just choosing to stick to your guns because whether it's a comfort thing or because you think you're right and you're not willing to open your mind up a little bit and see somebody else's. So to me, it boils down to this. To me, I feel like I should always err on the side of making someone else not feel like they are inferior for being different.
Right.
So I try to make those accommodations in my day-to-day life. If somebody wants me to call them a particular pronoun or a particular name, I have no issue with that because it's a small thing that I can do to make someone not feel like they're being discriminated against. It's a word. It means nothing to me. I know there are people on both sides of the argument, and that's fine. You do whatever you feel is great, but I go through life trying not to be an asshole to people because I like people and I want people to feel ultimately good about themselves. There's some shitty people like Artisan Tony, who is in the live chat, that I don't extend that courtesy to, but for the most part, just don't be an asshole.
You have you have a certain number of strikes with me, and the intensity of your action can be a more significant strike than another strike. And so Tommy McMurtry got 2 strikes, and then I just lost it. Like the first video and then the second, and I was like, okay, time for you to figure out who the fuck I am, because it was a long time coming.
Can you imagine in his inner circle or whatever, if it was like Bobby that said, we should call him a pumpkin? He's probably like, get the fuck rid of Bobby. Bobby's got to go.
I
you ruined it, Bobby.
I want to think that there's somebody in that group that is like semi-reasonable, and they all sat down today, and that individual was just like, hey, so we probably shouldn't have gone after him, right? Like, we all agree that this really backfired on us. Like, I really hope
he
that
gets hit upside the head with a lamp.
Yeah, would not put it past him. Okay. My mom found out that I was reading Love, Simon. Have you read Love, Simon?
I have not, no.
I haven't either. She then proceeded to lecture about the gay lifestyle and how gender is eternal. She treated it like she was cautioning me about the dangers of the world. It was awful. I don't think I'll ever be able to come out to her. Oh, fuck. I didn't realize reading that I figured that was your coming out experience, and so that you're still having to hide in the closet is... let me just finish the story here. Also, I was chatting with my classmates about the James Charles drama recently. Why can't I say James Charles? There we go. I said that not only is what he was allegedly doing harmful to himself and the victims, it was also harmful to the LGBT or GRSM community. People could take James Charles as an example for all gay people and say that they're all sexual predators and disgusting. A girl told me that she disagreed because she didn't need James Charles to convince her that gay people were disgusting. She already knew.
So many things in this. Number one, we have to stop with this. One person or 2 people is a representation of an entire community. It happens all across the board with every single community. One person, just because they might be the most notable to you, they might be the most recognizable person to you, they don't speak for the entire community. In the gay community alone, and people that I am friends with that are also gay, the amount of opinions that differ on everything.
Dramatic.
Everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
drastic.
They're gay Republicans. They're literal gay Republicans. Now, I'm not convinced 100% that this is a mythical. I think this is a mythical creature like the Loch Ness Monster. But apparently, they exist. Stop letting 1 or 2 people speak for the entire community. Let the entire community as a whole speak for itself and the actions of it as a whole. More, everybody together. Look at the collective, not just one person.
I think they're also saying, though, real quick to that point, I think they're actually saying, like, what they find unfortunate is that that's what's going to happen, that so many people, like, just look at Twitter, which I am still convinced is the worst thing in existence. Twitter has created this platform where people are convinced the loudest voices on Twitter represent the remainder of the movement. And that's movement after movement after movement that way. So unfortunately, I think what this person is lamenting is that James Charles did this and is a public figure, and unfortunately, people are going to take this as this proves my point about something.
Well, those people would be stupid. What you have to take away from when people mess up, look, people are people and they mess up all the time. Everybody messes up in so many different ways, and you cannot attribute their mishaps or their shortcomings as human beings and attribute that to an entire community. That's just that one person's shortcoming, not the community. I have my shortcomings. They're 1 or 2, just being frank, just 1 or 2 shortcomings. I know Jimmy's got quite a few dozen, but you can't attribute all of those to the community like that. It doesn't work like that. Oh God, here we go. God, listen. Okay, if you're listening to this and you can't see what's happening, all right. When I came into the call tonight, I was setting up my screens, and I turned, and all of a sudden I just saw this eye like looking at me, like following. It was just an eye, and I literally jumped back. I didn't know how to react. And he's been Well, just show him, Jimmy. Do the whole song and dance and.
I've been waiting to just do this for the whole thing. Anyway, in response to this, in response to part of this point, though, I will say also, when you are a public figure, there is a level of responsibility and understanding that you need to have of your actions and of your words. Now, unfortunately, there is the case also that things you still try to do in private will be often. I mean, I am now a public figure, which I'm not a fan of. It's like I want my channel to do well, and then when I leave my studio, I want to just live my life. But anyway, I'm nowhere near the size James Charles or many of these other people are, though. But once you have to be aware of your actions and the things you say. Unfortunately, things have become unbalanced where there aren't a lot of safely private spaces. I am a person who thinks unless someone makes a threat against your life or something, or they have slandered you or done, and you have to for proof. Otherwise, people who just casually, without really understanding the weight of what they're doing, share things like DMs from conversations and stuff, I think are just the shittiest people. I don't. There's not a lot of reasons why I find that acceptable. The James Charles situation is extremely complicated because one, I don't care. Like I didn't care about the overarching person and the people involved. They weren't parts of my life. Obviously, I do care about victims of abuse and things, but then there was this whole back and forth and people on both sides showed up with receipts. So I am currently of the position of I have no idea who to believe in that whole thing. And so somebody in that situation is lying, and whichever, maybe both, but whichever person is trying to push the false narrative is a piece of shit. I just don't know for certain which individual it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We may have you said safe space. We may have different views on that whole thing.
I was talking about privacy. I was saying a safely private space like DMs. I think unless you threaten somebody or slander somebody, we should have a social contract of an expectation of privacy. Sure. Yeah.
Let me push back on that just a little bit though, because there was one instance where I actually would have broken that social contract, and here's why. Let me just get your opinion on this. It was being said by somebody that I had a DM conversation with that I said something that I didn't say, and he was blatantly lying, and the proof of that was in a DM where it shows that this is not what transpired.
Which I did say, unless you're being, one of the things I said was if you're being threatened or if somebody is slandering you and you have to prove clear your name, basically. Yeah.
Gotcha. I didn't hear that part. Okay, cool.
Totally think that's fine. Okay. So moving on to this one. Now I definitely think you and I would disagree overall on, safe spaces. I don't take the safe space issue as far as like to the extreme that maybe some SJWs do, but I am in favor of saying like, hey, we're going to have a discussion in this place in this day, and if you come to this, you don't have to worry about being mocked or whatever for participating. I'm fine with that.
Now, is that in, like, let me just ask, is that in real life or just on the internet? Because to me, like, I don't, if a safe space is what you seek, and with the reality of the situation with how the internet is is the last place that you need to be, because there are no safe spaces online. You know what I mean?
Then again, like some people get upset at people for literally saying like, hey, so for example, if a person comes to YouTube and YouTube's terms of service guarantees censorship of certain types of people, just like my Discord does. If anybody comes in and starts using racial slurs, automatic ban. So those are the rules. And so if someone comes to YouTube reliant on the enforcement of those rules, and then somebody comes along and breaks those rules, people will get upset at somebody for literally saying, hey, YouTube, they broke the rules you set down. And then there's like, oh, you're just censoring because you need a safe space. No, I need a YouTube, and YouTube has a structure and an outline of what YouTube is. And I like YouTube when it actually is that thing. But when I have to watch Cupcake fucking call me Mr. I'm not even going to repeat it, but when I have to watch people say some bullshit and using slurs, which I didn't even actually care about. The biggest reason why I cared about that word being used, I've been called that word so many times in my life, I could not give any more shits. But it is used to hurt other people. And I kind of have that, I kind of have that feeling of like, hey, that's our word. You don't get to use that word.
Well, and same thing. I've been called that. I don't know how many times. It doesn't bother me. I've said this many times. That word does not faze me in any slightest. What pissed me off is the fact that this undercover twink was using it and trying to convey to get under people's. You know what I mean? Like that's what was really just pushing my buttons.
Wants to be platformed so bad, and is probably watching right now. So mad we won't say their name. I'm not even gonna use their pronouns.
Hey, Cupcake, wipe your mouth right there. You got a little something right there. Okay. No, not you, Cupcake.
Me too, though. Okay, anyway.
Oh, nice.
That's my favorite thing.
That's great. Yeah, that was great.
I used to okay, I need to come down because this is a serious thing, and reading this with a laugh would be very low class. I used to be somewhat acquainted with a guy in my first period class. He was an okay guy, I suppose. Very nationalistic and religious, though. Okay. I don't know where the okay guy part comes in. Nationalism is not good. Extremely redneck family, but we both heavily enjoy debate, so occasionally I would indulge him. We would mostly talk political and rarely agreed on things, but it was always polite. He tended to abruptly end discussions when I was right or change the subject. Sounds like my dad. I had fun getting him frustrated when his ignorance couldn't defend his argument by continuously proving him incorrect. He also changed the subject or got frustrated when I discussed social issues. One of these times I had brought up minority rights and the threats against them, specifically LGBTQ+, and people of color. He got very flustered, putting his hands up and saying, I don't care about those issues because they don't affect me. I'm not gay or black. Being a lesbian myself, I felt a bit offended and said, well, don't you think those people should have basic human rights like you? He immediately became loud and defensive, saying firmly, I don't know, I'm not suffering from those issues, so I really don't want to talk about it. I think it should be forgotten about. Nobody needs to talk about it. He also often argued that atheism was a religion and or a cult and was openly ignorant on other subjects as well. I do not talk to him anymore, but hear from friends he's still quite homophobic. Actually, it sounds more like one of my brothers than my dad. At that point, Kyle did a really good speech at the beginning of this about identifying and knowing when to cut people out of your life. If you can't get a person to hold the default position that everyone deserves human rights and to be treated equally unless some good reason has been presented. So this is why we don't extend certain types of rights to people who don't much care for things like consent or age of consent. So if that's not their default position, that if there's no other information available, you should default to extending those rights and those liberties to people, at what point are you gonna have that? Or are you like, at what point are you going to just let go and say? And it sounds like you did cut this person out of your life, which I think is a good thing. Maybe they just fell away. But yeah, at that point, it's just trying to convince a person like, hey, you know, your life, other people have those too, and their experiences aren't your experiences, and their experiences are valid, and people and their concerns are valid. And we as a society have to address them because no minority will successfully do it alone. And that's just the case. You have to have companionship and allyship, because if you are a minority, that means you are not the majority. And so you can't do it by yourself as a minority.
You have no obligation to keep anyone in your life. None. Whatsoever. Family, friends, your only obligation, in my opinion, is to yourself and to your happiness, because you get one of these in life to do, and you shouldn't ever spend 1 second regretting anything. And it's kind of like a breakup when you've been with somebody for a while, and it hurts for a while because that person's no longer there, even though that it was toxic and you know it was toxic. After you get through that, you always look back, I think, at those toxic relationships and say, wow, I'm in such better place now because I cut that out, or I'm not around that anymore. Like, I see why I needed to get rid of that. And it's the same way with any other relationship. If even if it's your family, if they're not willing to respect you and to put your feelings at the forefront of things, and just have no issue with being mean to you, saying things that they know are going to insult you and hurt you, cut them out, because you don't need them, and you'll be a lot happier when you do. I promise you that.
Yeah. Very good. We'll go to the next one here. I only came out to my closeted homophobic grandmother that I was bisexual and preferred girls. She took this opportunity to take me to get a haircut where the hairdresser, whom was her very religious friend, started preaching about Jesus and that being gay is wrong, as if this was the normal type of conversation between us. I never knew this about her friend, and we spoke on multiple occasions. However, after that, my grandma is confused at the fact I hate going to her house and that I don't like being around her. Like, you're toxic and you make me feel bad about things I really have no control over. Sorry. Honestly, we could just copy and paste what you just said, and that would be the perfect response. Like,
insert repeat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your grandma clearly feels entitled to your relationship and feels you are obligated to maintain it, and that is why she is upset and unwilling to recognize what she did to you. And so if you have to, you got to cut her out.
Exactly right.
Cut
it out.
Cut it out. Mr. Atheist, it's Mr. Pumpkin now. Mr. Atheist, thank you for this, because even though you probably won't read this along with everyone else, the following is about me. Well, we are going to read yours because it got upvoted. I'm pan and no one in my family knows about it. They're all conservative. My dad would send me to gay conversion therapy. My brother might harm me. No, that's not an overstatement. I understand that completely, as I have siblings who did harm me for the way I was different to them. And my mom would be ashamed. The rest of my family would be worse because of this and other homophobic people in my life. I think it means to say I feel really horrible about myself. I find day-to-day life hard when it feels like being me is the worst thing that I could be. I don't think I'll ever tell them because of this. People at school say, and it's the F word, but today the F word refers to that specific slur a lot. But if you want one story, how about this? I was on a camping trip this recent Memorial Day, and a friend who I had come out to had no problem telling people. Granted, he doesn't understand it, and by it, I mean being gay. He respects LGBT plus people, but just doesn't get it. But nonetheless, it hurt. I do want to say, though, that watching your channel makes me feel better. Thanks. Also, with the being pan, did you ever get made fun of for it? Because I literally do all the time. It got to the point where I say I'm bi, so people would just leave me alone. So first of all, to any cis het person, never, ever out somebody prior to they are agreeing to be outed. Whether they are trans or they are anyone who is GRSM, it is never okay for you to out somebody prior to they're ready to being out, because you don't know the chain of events that can go through. You don't know who your little information leak is going to end with, and you can harm a person by doing so. And I mean to the extent that, depending on where they are and the kind of people they grew up around, this is the kind of stuff that gets people killed. And it's the kind of stuff that gets people killed very frequently in more radically religious countries where it's against the law. And basically that's how the whole system works: is someone finds out, they tell someone, and they tell the police. I mean, those are the most extreme examples. But even if death isn't on the line, that is something that is personal to an individual. And if they are not okay with you expressing that, if they haven't told you, you can tell anyone you want, you're a fucking asshole if you do it anyway. Period.
And I have nothing that I can say that would come anywhere close to being conveyed in a better way than that. So, what he said.
Thank you. As far as being made fun of for being pan, the merch that's coming out in the next week or so, I'll spoil it here, and now I'm sure people will just go make it themselves. But it'll basically be a pan pride flag with the words "It's not about cookware" on it, because yes, I have heard the joke a million times now. Yeah,
Mostly from me.
Kyle didn't know what it was at first, and Kyle and I definitely make jokes to diffuse situations.
Although I will say that probably one of my proudest moments was taking the pansexual thing in a completely new direction, where I thought that he was sexually obsessed with Peter Pan.
Right, that's true. That was you too. Yeah, yeah. Maybe I'll include like a Tinkerbell or something on
Tinkerbell.
Yeah, on the shirt.
If you weren't already the Pumpkin King, that would be a great nickname for you, Tinkerbell.
Oh, I would embrace the hell out of Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell.
Go for it, McMurtry. I wish a motherfucker would.
Yeah, me too. That's why I'm trying to make it happen.
Go.
It's gonna be great.
Go for it. Okay.
I'm not saying that Tommy McMurtry is sexually attracted to artificial Disney characters. I'm just saying we don't know.
Listen, we've all thought Tinkerbell was hot at one point in our life. I remember what puberty was like.
I can't say that I've ever thought that Tinkerbell. I may be going against the grain here, but I have never looked at Tinkerbell in a way like that. I cannot say that's ever happened.
Tinkerbell had those thighs. They were thick. However, you convey lots of C's.
You know when you're growing up in the Dare director, when they would come around and when he would say, if you ever get the feeling around adults, make sure you run to the nearest adult and tell them. That's the feeling that I just got when you just talked about Tinkerbell's thighs.
But
like
what if
an feeling?
What if the nearest adult is the adult that gave you the feeling?
I'm fucked.
Yep. I got next story. I got a pretty classic story, but with a fun twist. I was talking with a coworker, and we ended up on celebrity crushes. She's gushing about Liam Neeson and things she'd do to him. And then I go off about how Zendaya is my queen, and I'd do anything for her. She stops me and asks if I'm gay, and not really feeling like explaining. Asexual, homo, romantic. To anyone that day, I just said yeah. For those who don't understand, asexual would mean that they don't really have a sex drive. They don't feel the desire to have sex. However, that doesn't mean they don't feel a desire to have romance, and they are homo-romantic, which works the way homosexual does too. They are romantically attracted to people of their same gender. Next day, my manager knows that I'm ace and is cool, told me he had a crazy story to tell. Apparently, my coworker told him I was gay, and when he acted indifferent, she went off on how weird queerness was and how she just can't support it because she doesn't relate to it. She also requested to work with me less because, even though she is married and 9 years older than me, is worried I might be attracted to her. Oh man, this has everything. The fun twist. I'm the Southern Christian and she's the city atheist. Anyone can be intolerant, just like anyone can be supportive. You never know. Yeah, being atheist, as Kyle and I both know, because of a common acquaintance, does not mean you're not a raging fucking homophobe.
Yeah. And when called out on it, still continues to double down on said horrible position.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, which he doesn't understand that in his maintaining a horrible position, he is denying himself the knowledge of many wonderful positions. Regarding the so once again, copy and paste the thing I said about if you out somebody prior to their wanting to be outed, you're a fucking asshole. I hate. How many times have you heard this, Kyle? Listen, I don't care if you're gay or whatever. Just don't hit on me.
Don't worry. If you are one of those people that use the line, I don't care if they're gay, I just don't want them hitting on me. You are as far away from the type of people that we're going to hit on. It's not even funny. Like, rest your precious little hearts. We are not coming for you.
It's not coming for you. Literally. Literally. The people who say that are just utterly ridiculous. And it's kind of like, it's funny how this is another thing where people decide not to learn about it, decide not to think about it, but then don't mind speaking on their ignorance as though they aren't ignorant. And that's where ignorance becomes intentional in my opinion, is when you're still speaking on it as though it's not present. And it's this idea of like, hey, hetero people, Are you attracted to literally every person you are, every person of the opposite gender to you? Does every single one of them do it for you, regardless of anything, regardless of their age, their physical type, whatever? No. There's more to it. As a pansexual, there is nobody that by their gender alone I couldn't be attracted to. That doesn't mean I'm attracted to everyone. In fact, I'm probably attracted to less people than most individuals.
It's not a problem, and I've rarely come across this, like, surprisingly. For the most part, if you're a straight, like when I was in the it's probably like 10 years ago, when it wasn't so, like, it wasn't as widely accepted as it is now. It's not to where we would like it now, but it was a lot more, sort of, you had to keep it kind of quiet, especially around here. But I had a lot of my straight friends that were would go out with all of us to the gay bars. And I will tell you this, those guys, the guys that are confident enough to go to gay clubs and, like, have a good time, even though they're not gay, you will pick up so many women there. Those are the guys that got laid more than anybody else, and it's because it's true. It's true.
But we need to make sure that we make something clear here. Do not go to a lesbian club trying to pull out the person who's going to change their mind that night. That's disgusting and offensive. And people who go to Pride intentionally trying to get laid, those people, I think Kyle is saying the people who weren't even trying to get laid ended up getting laid. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying that, like, not to go there to try to, like, reverse anybody's opinions, but there are a lot of girls that go that are single that have, like, just best friends that are gay, and they're hanging out with them, and so you have the time of your life. For whatever reason, there are some people who think that I can't ever go to a gay club because if I go, then I just will get hit. I won't be able to move. It'll just be like penises swinging all around me. It's not the way that that goes. I promise you. And if
depending on the club.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, for the record, I could. Yeah, in Denver, there's a couple of those penis clubs, which I have to get to tonight. So we should get to another one of these.
The Abbey in LA is a good one.
Whew. Let's see here. In 11th grade, I was in a graphic and web design class, and the only requirements in terms of specific content was it has to be school appropriate. I decided to make a sweet gay love story. My teacher, when she came around and reviewed my work part of the way through, pulled me out of the class and said something along the lines of, "You have to consider your audience. I just don't want to see that kind of thing." The "you have to consider your audience" part is definitely a direct quote. That part in her, I think it means to say here, statement, was the most patronizing. "I know I'm wrong, but I'm the teacher and I think it's gross" voice. This was when I was 16. I'm now 20, so it was maybe 4 years ago, in a liberal city in North Carolina. I know it's a little petty of me, but at that point, I checked out of that class mentally, and a few weeks later, I realized I am trans, told most of my other teachers, but I could never have felt safe telling her.
Yeah, your teacher's a bigot and just a nasty human being. And there's nothing, unfortunately, you can do about that, because when you're in that sort of situation, the teacher, has the upper hand in that. You can't really, I mean, of course you can go let people know, and I hope that you did, and, something should be done about that. But your teacher is completely wrong about this. Think about your audience. If she is your audience, she's a bigot. And she's wrong, and her sort of personal beliefs about things like this should be kept the fuck at home and not brought to the public school where she's working.
Imagine, because this was the whole idea of this isn't appropriate for the audience. Imagine what how that teacher would have reacted if you had gone and said, "Hey, so-and-so is making a hetero love story, very similar to the one I was making, but I am actually very offended by hetero displays of love, and so I would really like that to be, I would like you to censor that also." Would not have found that acceptable. Depending
on the people, I can be offended by hetero love stories, just depending on who the people are that are doing that.
Yeah.
There are some that. Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum is. It's different for me in every movie.
Don't you do it?
In the movies where he dances, all about it. The rest of them, I'm just like. Usually, I'm just like, hey, start dancing. Anyway.
Jimmy, you came out on top of this week with the Pumpkin King. Let's not
don't burn through my gay capital.
Don't do it.
These people I was friends with refuse to call my boyfriend because it makes them uncomfortable. They prefer partner. Like, bitch, you have a partner for a fucking science project.
That's funny. That's a good answer. You're answering your own question.
That one's really good. When I told them that was slightly homophobic, they said, no, I can't control their words. I said, okay, but if I call you the N-word, it's racist, even though you can't control my words. They didn't know what to say. There's a reason they aren't in my life anymore. Edit, I would never call someone the N-word. I was only pointing out their hypocrisy. Also, I'm not as white as my profile pic depicts, so don't cancel me like James Charles. Well, I am as white as your profile picture depicts, so also please don't cancel me.
You win the night. You answered your own. You answered your own question beautifully. Like I couldn't even. That was perfect. I have nothing to say back to that.
Bitch, you have a partner for a fucking science project. I love that too.
Yeah.
I am tired of hearing that kind of stuff too, where it's like, no. I'm not homophobic. These are just my opinions, or like. No, it couldn't be homophobic because if I'm wrong, it's because I'm ignorant. Well, a lot of homophobia comes from ignorance, and all homophobia is somebody's opinion. To say that is them trying to change it because they've seen on Fox News the success of this argument about censorship and that you're censoring me by saying I shouldn't share my actual opinion. But here's the thing. Legally, you can share your opinion almost no matter what that opinion is. It doesn't make it a smart one. So that same level of freedom of speech they have to be as homophobic as they want, you have too, to call them a homophobe and to say, bitch, you have a partner for a fucking science project.
That was great.
I love that.
Yeah. Call them whatever the hell you want. I don't understand. And maybe I was there. I understand exactly where each of these stories are coming from because for a long time I fell into that same trap of I was so concerned about other people's opinions, what other people were going to think, how it was going to look to other people, how it was going to make other people feel. And I never paid attention to how I felt or what I wanted to do. And the day that I woke up and said, you know what? Fuck everyone who doesn't like this. I'm going to be me, and I'm going to do my own thing. That was the start of the greatest period of my life. You have no idea the weight that's lifted off of your shoulders and how you can actually embrace life when the only person that you care about's opinion is your own. Everybody else, the people that want to be around you and who align with your beliefs will be around you. And they will support you. And everybody who doesn't will fuck off. And then you won't have any stress in your life anymore. And that is a good thing. So do you, and to hell with what everybody else thinks.
I think this will be the last story we read. And then after we read this story and react to it, which this one's really interesting because it covers the sexual spectrum, but a little different angle. After we do this, we'll read our super chats out. A lot of people leave at the super chats. I never understand because 90% of the time, the funniest things happen in reaction to super chats and super chats questions. But I mean, if you have to go, you have to go. But I think a lot of people, when they hear we're going to read super chats, think it's just going to be, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people who will say thank you for your channel or what you do. But then there's always a lot of interesting topics that come about. So I just wanted to get on my box there a little bit.
Let's do a callback from one of our early from our At Homies days. Guys, stick around for super chats. Make sure you don't get spooked.
They gonna get a spook. Oh man, I think that's the most I have ever lost it on air.
The butthole thing was the top.
Both of them were really good. The butthole. But I died laughing from the spook. The way they're atheists because they got a spook. What?
You did. You lost it.
Oh. not necessarily homophobia, but crude comments about asexuality. I've been told it's a mental illness, that I'm a prude, that I'm selfish, that I can't know because I've never had sex, and so much more. I don't attend church anymore. I stopped going a long time ago, but my family is religious and my mom wanted me to talk to the pastor. So I humored her. He was super uncomfortable with the topic and said we shouldn't label things. Oh, and of course the whole you'll meet someone eventually. Yeah. The worst part is too that some people are gray asexual, which means that there are actual conditions that their sexuality that will happen for them. And I feel like a lot of them feel some sense of responsibility to over explain when that happens, because there's a million people in their life that are just gonna go, see, I told you. One of the ways I see people being shitty to people who are asexual the most is, or the most often, the way I see it happening the most often is usually, it's kind of similar to that guy who says, I don't care if you're gay, just don't hit on me. It's that same level of ignorance and arrogance put together. And it seems to be that people react to someone saying they are asexual by essentially being offended that you're saying there's not a world where you would sleep with them, and that's what they actually can't understand. Like, oh, really? You really think that, you wouldn't enjoy all of this? And it's like, yeah, I really think
in their defense, though, that would offend me if someone said that they were asexual towards me. I wouldn't be able to get over that. I wouldn't believe it. And so I have to side with them on this. Sorry.
But they're usually saying asexual in general. But you do have to get over if someone is just straight not attracted to you in that way.
I break down those barriers. What is it that on Anchorman? 99% of the time it works every time.
I think it was like 60 or 70% of 60% of the time it works every time. Those numbers do not add up.
That doesn't make any sense.
All right, we will let's move through to Super Chat, and then we will wrap up the day here. I'm excited for a nap. I need one, but I got up really late today. I got up really late today, so there's no way my body will actually sleep, but I need a nap.
It's 10 o'clock. No one naps at 10 o'clock.
It's 8 p.m. here.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's because you're behind.
Always.
Hold on. I have to get to the stupid beta. Like, is there anyone that's a content creator that actually enjoys seeing the beta studio pop up?
Yeah.
Anyone?
You could switch it. You could still switch it back to original as your default.
You know what, though? Here's the thing. I have done that probably 4 times. Honestly, this is not a joke. I've switched it back 4 times. Google or YouTube or somebody, they keep switching it back to the beta.
Beta. I keep accidentally switching it to the Creator Studio beta, because where the button is to switch back to classic, if beta by default is there, it pushes that one up. So I'm literally like trying to go to classic, and I accidentally hit the switch beta to my my on purpose thing.
The only thing that would make this beta studio better is if every time you logged in, you had a recording of Jason Lee Peterson going, beta! That would be awesome. All right, Kuyasa says, Kyle may be a 12-inch gnome, but at least his pecker is also 12 inches. Well, number one, that would be quite a sight. That would be very freakish.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I am neither a 12-inch gnome, nor do I have a 12-inch penis. But I think if you cloned me, we might be close to that.
Perhaps. Mayhaps.
My unfinished journey. McMurtry has been Santorum. Reminds me, I got to Google another name. Yeah, that's a good example right there. Rick Santorum really messed up when he made his comments, and they took his last name and turned that into a sex act. So
he is now also on Urban Dictionary. Yeah,
right. For a completely different reason. Like, we went easy on McMurtry compared to that.
Oof,
translator
for now.
Carminium. Yeah. Dude, last night I got drunk and I got McMurtry'd.
Oh. I think that McMurtry is still up inside me right now.
In the chat, in both chats, tell us what your explanation of being McMurtry would be.
Yeah.
Be creative. Tell us what McMurtry.
And moderators prepare to have to approve a lot.
Well, not in mine. Everything's approved in mine except for
one
or two words. AC Castillo says, if you're untapped, check in for a pride badge. Love you. And Translator Community says, along the same lines as what Jimmy did with the domain name, maybe we could commandeer their slogan too. Massa equals Make America Secular Again.
I've been using Make America Gay Again since Trump got elected, which happens to also be MAGA. So I like that one.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Or Make America GSRM again.
That works too.
To include everyone.
And the only enjoyable thing about MAGA is that you can switch it to MAGA.
That reminds me. I don't know why.
MAGA.
That reminds me, but do you know the people that spell out like the Magad thing?
Magad, yeah.
EHRM. Yeah, am I the only one that just really like makes me tick every time I read that? It's like Magad.
I always think of the girl from the meme when they do that.
Yeah. That's a good point. Sandring, hello, Sandring. Kyle, you left me at the truck stop all day. This place kind of sucks. I'll message the next time in Greensboro. I'm not staying here again though.
Kyle turned his back on the lot lizard life. Kyle is no longer a lot lizard.
I would have loved to have, and I keep telling him this, like, we have to have a beer together, but like, you have to give me like some days in advance, Sandring, so that I can plan around it, because I have a very hectic schedule. Maynard says smoke weed every day. I can't argue with that. Z Ray says McMurtied using pumpkin innards as personal lube. Oh my god. Oh my god. The visuals on that are just frightening. Holy shit. Z, you came out swinging.
I think that one wins.
All right. It's on to you now, Jimmy. That's funny.
Oh, okay. Ian Green, thank you. Lucy first says slow mode, please. Sorry that I got to that late. Tatted Philosophy says, yeah, it's 13 inches. That was in response to you saying it's not 12. Thank you, Breyer. Odie the Fourth says, I'm not saying you have a 12-inch penis. We just don't know. Ian Green, thank you again. Geek Goddess says, thank you for everything you do, Mr. Atheist. Being at 24 and only out of the closet and my family's religion for 4 to 5 years, your LGBT positivity gives me hope surrounded by my heteronormative conservative family members. Yeah, I'm glad you're finding community outside and continue to encourage you to do so, and use resources like Meetup to try and find some in-person people as well that you can feel accepted around, because it sounds like you need some community other than that
community,
the Rick Santorums in your life that you sound surrounded by. Jezzy Kerr, voice of choice. Okay, I'll do let's do Charlie Day. Was acting super lesbian with my girlfriend. I'm Pan, and a lady still thought we were sisters. Some people are in total denial. We both were laughing afterwards. BTW, you are awesome. That's okay. Can
I ask a question?
Yeah.
If you had to, like, if there was a gun to your head,
yeah, and
somebody said, like, if you have to do an impression of Kyle, how would you do an impression of me?
I'd probably go extreme with it and try and do like,
I want to see it.
It'd be like a Southern Belle kind of thing. I would do something like, it'd probably be the same as my Lindsey Graham impression. It'd just be like, I do declare I have the vapors. That's probably where I'd go with it.
I wish I was that elegant. Okay.
If you're saying like, I don't think I could do a good impression, not without some warning and some time to practice. Derek Greenwald listed 6 pumpkins. Thank you. Nicole Ryan, the only king I need. All hail to the Pumpkin King. I know it's arrogant, but I enjoy calling myself the Pumpkin King. I'm not gonna lie. At dawn.
Yeah, Halloween is gonna be fun.
Oh yeah. Oh, I already have a general idea of what I want to do. It's gonna be difficult to put together, but yeah.
Here's the thing: we now own the holidays, Jimmy. You run Halloween, and I run, as of course the gnome. I run Christmas.
Absolutely, Christmas gnomes. That's a thing. Adonel,
King of the gnomes.
Adonio, maybe. Thank you very much. And a kiss. Happy Pride, y'all, and screw Pastor McMurtry, but only if you're a pumpkin. That's good.
Yep. Jimmy's got some explaining to do.
Yep. Oh, that would be the fucking controversy of the goddamn century.
I would come if that were to happen. Like, I would orgasm right upon hearing that.
I'd become extremely famous immediately. You know what was the most surprising in finding out about Ted Haggart's affair is that somebody fucked Ted Haggart. Holy shit.
Yes. I thought the same thing. Like, how is he like, I don't get these, and I'm going off on a tangent, these televangelists. They've seen like each one of these guys filled the shoes of another idiot that did something stupid and got caught. Like, when does it ever set into them? Like, just be happy with the shit that you're getting, with the jets and the money, and don't fuck it up. But for every single time you fuck it up.
Every time. Sarah Jackie, sent you pumpkin art. Thank you for all you do. I have somebody who's going to go through all that pumpkin art, and they will be adding it. But already there are tons of submissions, dozens, at least 100, probably at least 100, currently on http://www.tommymcmurtry.com.
Please tell me that you put on the when you were hiring for this that you needed a pumpkin intern.
I asked somebody specifically I was basically like, hey, if you need money, I have a job I don't want to do. So it was an individual thing. That would have been amazing to post on Craigslist for.
Yes, it involves half-naked pumpkins. Are you in? No, definitely not.
Why not? Michael Gilbert, thank you. Twice. Hexadecimals. Apparently Morgan Freeman is against Black History Month and uses that same white history question. So what the fuck? Yeah, and people are going to fall for those kinds of things too. I hope somebody sat down and talked with him about it, because I'm not black, so I'm not going to comment on whether or not a black person's view of Black History Month is correct or not. However, I will tell you that it didn't seem like he used the actual reasoning that people use for why there's a Black History Month. He uses the reasoning that white people use when they say, well, I want a White History Month.
Yeah, and that's fine because he is an African American. He is well entitled to his opinion on the matter. That doesn't go in any way of speaking on what the importance of having something like that to demonstrate that it is something that we need to be cognizant of. Morgan Freeman can have his opinion. That's completely fine.
It's really frustrating too how like there are individual people. Actually, there's lots of people who will go, oh, you're saying this is true about gay rights? Well, here I found a gay man who says they don't want gay marriage to be legal. And that voids the other several million voices. Like,
yes.
Okay, that's great for him. No one's going to force him to get married.
Just because they're the most popular doesn't mean they speak for everyone. They might be the most popular. Morgan Freeman might be the most popular African American man on the planet, but that does not give him the title to speak for everyone. And what is what's the best course of action? It's just his opinion, and he just happens to be popular.
Do you remember that old South Park where Token says to Stan, Jesse Jackson is not the king of all black people, and then Stan says, you told my dad he was. That's what it reminds me of. That's what it reminds me of.
Okay, yeah. I'm
tricky area. Yeah, tricky area.
Yeah, I'm gonna let it go.
Dalton wants this in Stewie voice. Let me get into Stewie voice. You know, I haven't been practicing as much lately, so it's getting a little lax. Cis-pan ace woman here. Went to movie with dad. It had a heavy lesbian scene. Very awkward for him, but I loved it. So excited about pose on FX. I like the GRSM term, learned it from you. Yeah, I like GRSM, so inclusive and it's so simple and easy, and I like, to me it's also proactive. Like LGBT got added on as people were like, hey, we're really not representing this group enough, and that's where the more letters came. GRSM kind of proactively is inclusive of the terms we're not even aware of yet.
Can we just go as other?
No, I mean, why do you need another? If you have we have plus, and we have GRSM. I like GRSM.
I'm just saying other. No, just the word other. Like, I want to be team other.
Oh, there's actually something called otherism. I think people would not be down for that.
No, there's not. Is there really?
Mm-hmm. Goosh
otherism?
buddy. It's I would explain it poorly. Let me get an actual.
I'll Google it.
Yeah. It's very much, it works into that whole us versus them kind of thing.
Okay.
Anyway, Goosh Buddy says, third attempt at this. iTunes is homophobic. Here's my tithe to the Pumpkin King. Have a happy Pride, Jimmy and everybody else. Thank you very much. I'm not sure how iTunes comes into all of that. I suppose you probably got it. You're using Super Chat on the iPhone, and that charges to your iTunes account. I get it. Thank you very much, Goosh Buddy. Gabrielle Therese. Happy Pride Month, everybody. Super happy Pride Month. I'm really, really excited. I'm so worried because the health stuff has been kind of touch and go lately. I'm so worried I'm not going to make it out to Pride, but I'm pretty dedicated to at least being there for like an hour.
Jimmy, I have a question from somebody in my chat regarding GRSM. They want to know does anyone know if GRSM includes disabled people?
So GRSM means gender, romantic, and sexual minorities. It definitely doesn't mean a person is excluded for being disabled, but if a person is a disabled lesbian, for example, GRSM is specifically relates to romance, gender, and sexuality.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Now, with all things like it's... The appropriate representatives of GRSM would not be people who are ableist or racist. I mean, that's something that's come up where there was this thing in Pennsylvania where the local people added colors to represent race to the pride flag because specifically in that community, there was a ton of racism happening. And so it was literally supposed to say like, hey, we as a community should fix this. And people just go absolutely bananas. So, yeah.
BANANAS. Sorry.
Yep. I say bananas a lot, I've realized. That's been my way. I try not to use phrases like crazy and insane and things like that anymore. So I've switched in bananas. And now I realize how much I used to say those words because I say bananas a lot.
Do pumpkin now. Switch bananas for pumpkin.
You've got pumpkin in your brains. McKay, can't wait to go to Pride in my mesh crop top. Absolutely. I won't be doing that though. I too hairy and not in mesh top shape. Rhubarb. I said to my mom that I'm going to Pride and I was super excited. She said she was going to the Ark Encounter to an event called Taking Back the Rainbow. Listen, you already had lost the rainbow to Lucky Charms years ago. You're definitely not going to get it from us.
Okay. Here's the thing, though, too. All right, so just keep in mind what you have to believe if you believe where the rainbow story come from. You have to believe that the God that you want to worship for eternity was so mad that he messed up on people so much.
Yeah.
Not to a fault of their own, but that he messed up so bad that his only solution was not to snap his fingers and make everybody okay again, not to wipe their memories away, to drown them. And
everyone,
as a constellation of drowning the entire planet, he said, "Here's 7 colors. I'm gonna smack them together and throw them across the sky. That'll make up for it. Get the fuck out of here."
The whole promise that when the rainbow stops happening, that's when Jesus is coming back. so much. It's probably more. There's probably more rainstorms without rainbows than with. How about any rainstorm that happens at night?
Yeah. What about the rainbows that appear in oil from your car?
Those ones are signs of Jesus. They're coming back.
Yeah, gotta be.
Lance Ivory, are you going to add more pumpkin picks? Yes. After this individual who has been hired to extract them all, I think we are going to be adding somewhere in the range of 500 to 700 of them to the website. Yeah, and that should happen sometime this week. Let's see. Mab Joslin. Hi, Mab. Mab is my bestie. Protest by living your truth when it's safe to do so. Challenge societal norms to make it safe for those who aren't currently safe to come out. I love that too. I love the people who can be very public and are very public about it. Terry Shaw, thank you. I doubt it's the Terry Shaw I've heard of. Orange Glow Sticks. One thing that kills me is, as a trans man, a lot of my male coworkers will come up to me and start making fun of trans women that aren't passing. Yes, that is a disgusting fucking thing that is very much contributing to their dysphoria. And fuck people who do that shit. Alicia Deshay Terry, thank you. Overtly dramatic. What do you about people who say aro aces are cis het?
What?
They can't be aromantic and asexual people are cis het. You can't really be heterosexual. I mean, if you're gray asexual, when it becomes a thing, you might have something you tend toward. But if you're both aromantic and asexual, you're not heterosexual because you're not anything. So no, being cis het wouldn't make any sense to me. So I would tell them that does not logically follow, and I would like to hear their explanation.
It's a non sequitur.
Yeah. I mean, if a person is gray asexual and for the first 50 years of their life never experiences anything sexual, and then something happens that triggers that for them, and it turns out they're attracted to the same gender, they weren't het their whole life up to that point either. You're heterosexual or homosexual or pansexual or whatever else when you are those things.
I need a chart, Jimmy.
Apparently. Wellington Smith. Jimmy, my homophobic father died 2 weeks ago at 92 years old, and I'm so much more comfortable talking about and being open with my sexuality now. Does that make me a bad person? I hope not, because there are a huge number of people that I am looking forward to them being dead.
Yes. I can echo that.
Yeah.
I can echo that.
If you're a bad person, we're in the same boat at least. Darchie B, who is my brother, for people who don't know. Hey, is this your electric toothbrush at my place? Probably. Yeah, almost definitely.
Interesting.
Amber Blackwell, so much love for you. But when I used to go back and visit my family and stuff, I always stayed at his place because he is not religious where my family is. So much love for both of you. The rest of them are anyway, except for another brother. But he's not in that state. So much love for both of you. You have made this trans girl feel safe and loved. I would absolutely love to get into YouTubing actually, but my anxiety and lack of computer skills is a problem. You two keep up the great work. My anxiety is also a huge problem for my, and here's where I came down on this. If I hadn't received ever a single email from people or comments like are in here of people saying that what I create and same thing with, I'm sure this is the same with Kyle, people reach out and tell us that we helped. And that is the only reason I don't regret starting my channel. If my channel was doing just as well, but not a single person had told me that that I had helped them and that it was making a difference, then I would I would very much regret becoming a YouTuber.
It's so humbling too, because like even now when I hear that, I'm very skeptical. Like, I don't know that I believe that. You know, like because you're looking at like your own flaws and questioning like how in the world could I have said something that broke through, because I disappoint myself every minute of every day. Like how is that broadcasting out into a positive thing? But yeah, it makes the difference for sure.
I'll always discount my involvement too. The thing I always say when someone says thank you, you made me or helped me do blah blah blah, I like to always, and I genuinely believe this, reiterate, you did the work. I'm glad that something I did was I'm glad I was a useful tool, which is, my highest aspiration. But you did it, and it's you who.
Oh, no.
You,
I take all the credit in mine.
yeah, you're just like, yeah, you're right. Where would you be without me?
It was on me.
We have, I think there's so many chats tonight because of what the topic we're talking about after what we just did to some people. Mistress,
I got backed up again too. So
okay,
if you want to take a break, I can switch over.
Yeah, or we can start alternating as well if you want.
Yeah, we can do that. That's cool.
I'll do Mistress Crimson 98 says the number of people that say asexuality relates to asexual reproduction. Am I a flatworm? Eye roll. Since when did I say anything about wanting kids? To tell you the truth, I was that kind of douche in the past, even as an atheist. I participated in asexual erasure, and it wasn't actually all the way to reproducing the same with yourself, but more like I kind of had this thing up my ass about like people who are chemically castrated. If you can't relate to their existence, you're not asexual, because I was a fucking asshole. One of the many things I was very wrong about.
Still are?
No, I'm not now.
Says,
oh, do you mean I'm still
asshole.
wrong about many things? Oh, got it. I thought you were saying I'm still wrong about asexuality. I was like, I think I know it now.
No, you're just an asshole.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, man, he says, I saw a few complaints about censorship on the show. I'm fine with that, although I try to act zen like the response to the hateful comment in the previous episode. I can snap. Everyone has his limits. Yes. And if you would like to witness Mr. Atheist or myself at the end of those limits and going way past those limits, then you can follow us both on Twitter at NonSequitur or at Dear Mr. Atheist.
Or watch last Thursday's episode of Non-Sequitur with me, Kyle, and Shannon Q.
Yeah. And you can see for yourself what happens when you go past those limits.
Yeah, we sure did. Yeah. Emily's cat says, my kitty Oliver says, Happy Pride Month. First of all, mind blown that your kitty Oliver said anything. Get that cat here. I will pay
real.
everything I have for a talking cat.
Creationist cat, look out.
Yeah, you're fucked.
Oliver's
you're so
coming.
Fucked.
Lysandrine says, I just had to give you shit, Kyle. I don't expect you to drop anything for me. I can't give more notice. I don't know my own schedule far enough in advance. Oh yeah, no. I'm not saying that that I wouldn't drop anything. Like I would love to have a beer or something with you, but if you give me the earliest advance that you can, let's see if we can work with that. But next time you're here, yeah, for sure, hit me up.
Brittany Morgan, Bi-Pan Asolidarity revolves around being asked, so have you decided which you like yet? No, Mom. No, I haven't. Also, another thing that people don't realize is subtly erasing. Don't ask people which one they like more. That might be something they want to talk about sometime, but if a person expressed to you that they're bi or they're pan or something, it's a really stupid question. But, okay, but which one do you like more, though? Okay.
Yeah. I'm so guilty of that one. I'm so guilty. But you know what? I don't think it counts because I'm in the community, so I get a pass, right? That's how that works.
It's the one that's less hateful and more that's eye roll inducing, and you're probably going to get your the eye rolls.
It's so interesting though. Like I love the way that people think about, like, if you actually have that conversation, some of the people's like reasons are fascinating. Like, you could do a whole psychology, and I'm sure it has been done, but it's just fascinating the way people think about sex and what sex can make people. It's just fascinating.
People draw assumptions too, though. Like I've talked about that I'm pansexual, but I'm gynoromantic, which doesn't mean I'm attracted to more feminine presentations. However, when it comes to my sexuality, that does not prevent me from getting down with a dude. And so they think, oh, that means you must like women more. No, you're quite wrong. It's just that romantically, those end up more often being the relationships I end up in, which I only addressed my sexuality in the last couple of years. So the overall score looks like it leans that way. But were I doing it all over, it wouldn't. It has nothing to do.
Yeah, I don't think it's a fair. I don't think it's an accurate question anyway, because I think that is if people have a preference one or the other, it's ultimately determined by the moment that they're with someone that turns them on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
was just gonna say, like, I am the most sexually attracted to the person I'm having sex with at that moment.
Yeah, Yeah, no, it's weird how that works out. That I'm still surprised that that's the way that it goes, but that is science seems to indicate that is the way that it goes. People were talking in the chat about the different companies that do like logos and stuff with rainbows. The coolest thing happened this past weekend. We were getting an Uber downtown, and the path that the car goes now, like to show your destination, turns a rainbow that like flashes. It's the coolest thing. So shout out to Uber. Artisan Tony, Kyle, you know I love you guys. Happy Pride Month. I dare you to meet me for a beer one night. Tony, I would love to meet you for a beer, but I feel like you would just complain about the establishment that you picked out to be in and what beer they serve, kind of like you do here. So, but yes, I will take you up on a beer one night. Thank you. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah. Lloydie, not 12 inches, but Kyle liked mine. I don't know who Lloydie is, but they know who you are.
I'm trying to wrap my brain for who that is, too.
Also, thank you, Hannah Bow. Their profile pic looks like they have an atheist circle tattoo, if that helps. It's really zoomed in, so it could be the, Anyway, go ahead.
I'll look into that. Who's your atheist? Sorry I'm late, but Kyle has the best hair for all time. Oof. I thought we were going to have a show without the real debate going on. We're talking about pride and stuff that really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, like people's rights. Fuck that. We have a real debate we need to talk about, and that is our hair. That is the question that everyone wants to know.
I didn't put much into my hair today, so I don't want to do the battle today. Okay. Nathaniel Esposito says, funny story, Milo Yiannopoulos shook me out of my homophobic views and allowed me to accept myself as I am. I think he's awful, but he's the reason I was able to come out, so thanks, I guess. Yeah, unfortunately, he also perpetuates certain homophobic views, so I'm glad somebody got you there. I just wish it had been somebody else.
Yeah. And a lot of with him, he's a contrarian. So a lot of what he says, I think, is just for shock value, not anything grounded.
I don't know if he's ever had a genuine feeling in his life. Also, hey, I'm just upset. Thank you as well.
Unholy Sarah says, I'm so sick of people saying I can't be a pan because I'm in a hetero relationship. Well, you can't be a pan because you're a human.
Okay, thanks, Kyle. No, I've heard
joking.
That too.
That was to Jimmy. That was more towards Jimmy, not you.
People are this is true across the board with people who have any kind of sexuality that allows for multiple genders and stuff. Once you're in a relationship with somebody, people who want to erase what you are will insist that means, oh, so you are blank. And that's ridiculous. Crystal Boyette, if Jimmy is Mr. Pumpkin, is Kyle now Daddy Pumpkin? A lot of people have been calling me Pumpkin Daddy also, and Pumpkin King, so I think that makes Kyle Granddaddy Pumpkin.
No, that makes I am not a pumpkin. I'm a gnome. We are completely different beings. I run Christmas. He runs Halloween. That's the way that it goes.
Everyone hail to the pumpkin gnome.
The pumpkin gnome. Oh my God! Can you imagine the? That's epic. That's combining. That's combining both of our into a super. Well,
we need a gnome with a pumpkin beard.
Yes. Can somebody make the pumpkin gnome and email it to Mr. Atheist and myself?
That would be amazing. Actually, somebody who actually has talent, because I don't. Your turn.
Yes, the pumpkin gnome. Yeah, I'm good. That's it on my side.
Meredith Nevin, random people often think my best friend and I are a lesbian couple. We aren't, but we never correct them. It's hilarious. Yeah, that's another thing where people just project and think that it's something we need to always talk about. Hey, are they boning?
Yeah.
Yeah. McKay, I never came out to my coworkers, and although one of my coworkers is pretty liberal, I have no idea how I will react or if my employment will be jeopardized. Is it a bad idea to come out? You know the situation a lot better than I am. If you're leaning toward you don't think it's a good idea, just make sure if you do, you have a backup plan, because Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Like your livelihood is what's most important, and if if that's going to cripple you and where you can't survive, then don't do it. Just grit and bear until you get to a point where you can do that, because you don't want to put yourself back in a bad situation.
This is where, too, people say things like, well, it's not like we're trying to kill gay people anymore. Except for things like this happen. People's livelihood is taken away for simply being what they are. That's a little bit like trying to kill gay people. Rachel Powers, in a recent letter 5 months after I came out to her, my mom suggested that I'd been abused and insisted that was what my dysphoria was about. So tell your mom to prove it, honestly. Like, that's the kind of thing that, like, I love these fucking armchair psychologists who just tell you, like, oh, I know why you are this way. Dylan Fuller. Yeah. My aunt told me about her in-law saying I'd convert her sons and I was a bad influence. My aunt shut it down real quick. She's very supportive of me. I can promise you that we can't convert people to a sexuality that is more convenient for us. Otherwise, there's just this one guy that... okay, anyway. Renita Chan, I am not really out to my family since they're pretty homophobic, but ever since my cousin came out, my mom's concerned that I'm going to turn out to be a lesbian. Joke's on my mom because I'm bisexual. That's... Again, this is another form that casual homophobia comes in. I really hope my son doesn't turn out to be gay. I really hope my daughter doesn't turn out to be... I mean, that shit comes all the time. And then there's kind of like... I don't even know what to call it, but I know people who often talk about, like, I hate men, so I really hope my daughter turns out to be lesbian. I really hope everybody gets to be their own sexual self.
Yeah. And just tell your mom to look on the bright side. She's got a 50% chance of things going her way in that case. It could be like my mother. My mother got shocked with two only sons both being gay.
That speaks to the genetic factor, I think. Taylor B. asks for this in Stewie voice. I'm not saying that Tommy McMurtry is sexually attracted to pumpkins, but I'm just saying we don't really know.
Well, actually, that's been confirmed too, because the pumpkins spoke out last night on Twitter.
That's... There are pumpkins making claims, and I stand with the pumpkins. Brooke, when I came out to my sister in this case, to my sister as pan, she accused me of being attracted to children and animals. Yeah, that's utter and complete bullshit. And this is other people trying to project what we mean by it. We pansexuals are good at just holding to our own definition. Pansexuality relates literally to gender and what genders you're attracted to, and that is to say that all of them. We're not much fussed with what gender a person is. Juju New, cis-pan female dating cis-het male. His ex-wife keeps hitting on me. She came out to me last year as bi. Today she said she's sure we will make out in the future. There's just parts of that aren't cool. I don't know if you're saying you're flattered or anything, but people really need to stop projecting sexuality onto people. And it's something I've done in the past too, where I've been like, hey, listen, you and I, it's gonna happen one day. There are definitely people and friends that I can say that with, and we know we're having fun with it. Like, I say that kind of thing with Kyle all the time, because it's like 99% true. But then there are times where people are projecting and just being a giant douchebag about it. So I hope that's not the case, and it's just a person they're just being fun with you, but and that's welcome.
Oh my God. I googled pumpkin gnome.
How bad is it? Is it a pumpkin with a gnome
mostly cute
drawn into it? Okay.
No, I'm gonna send you one. But they're mostly cute.
Alex Parthenopeus says, hard to come out to myself as demisexual because I was a virgin after the initial excitement. It was hard to admit that I liked the intimacy and not so much the sex, because my partner and I said I made him more sexual. I have something of an intimacy kink, so I feel for you. I'm not demisexual, but I have reverse like reverse sapiosexuality. It's not that I'm only attracted to smart people. It's that if you say really ignorant, douchey, and sort of thing, you can be the most attractive person in the world, and my attraction to you will instantly disappear. I think reverse sapiosexual sounds like I'm saying I'm attracted to people the less intelligent they are. That's not what I meant. I meant when people show a certain type of intellect, it turns me off completely. Bernard Panders, Mr. Atheist, what chance does this struggling YouTuber and chronically ill atheist and asexual have to call in on time to tell my deconversion story? I mean, when it is that show, which we probably do 2 shows like that a month, the odds aren't super great. Like, it's you just got to be ready for the number. The best time to try and call in right now is be generally aware of when the live show is once I schedule it, because I usually open up those phone call lines about 10 minutes beforehand. So try calling in the line then, because most of the calls come in as we are starting the show. So but now that I've said that out loud, you're probably also doomed again. Renita Chan, I get McMurdied when I have a colonoscopy prep. I feel sick and I have a sore butt. Colonoscopy prep is extremely miserable. Jeannie Love, Jeannie, I have a closeted gay uncle who 2 years ago told me not to wear skirts or dresses around a family member. This year I want to ask him, what are you doing for Pride Month? Do that. Put him on his heels. Tiana and Destiny D, thank you. Jacob Herman, wish I could give more. I'm surprised anybody gives anything, and I'm touched that you gave what you did. Burning Shadows, had a coworker think I was into her because she knew I was bi, and I would bring her a drink or candy, but I was just being a friend and almost lost my job. Yeah, I mean, the hard part is, I think the one thing that people have to understand is certain individuals in this world have been just berated by people who think you must be interested in having sex with them. If they were an asshole about it, then an asshole is an asshole. But I could defend both sides of this. But then there are also people who are just completely full of themselves and think literally everyone is into them. There are just some people who really think that there's no way you couldn't be sexually attracted to them. For those listening to this on the podcast, I may or may not have been pointing at Kyle.
McMurtry, not have to end up embracing that.
That's true. Catherine Ideas, McMurtrying, that's a hard word, penetrating a pumpkin or gourd-esque fruit, which is carved to look like a certain long-haired atheist man, maybe the next grapefruiting. I really wish you hadn't said that, because I'm not looking forward to seeing what people carve in their pumpkins now this coming Halloween.
The pumpkin innards as lube is still the greatest.
Yeah, that one was incredible.
Yeah.
Mab Joslin, McMurdied, stuck in a pumpkin at the ER. It's a medical term.
What do we got, Sam? It's just another fucking McMurdied. He's just McMurdied.
I need 100 cc's of IV from McMurtry in surgery room 7. I don't know. Eliza Fair.
Get the jumper stat. We got a McMurdy on Broadway and 5th.
We got a 069. That's the number code I'm giving it. Question for the chat. Do you think Pastor Tommy McMurtry uses decorative little pumpkin lights as anal beads? I'm not saying he does. I'm just saying we can't prove he doesn't. Same. I'm also agnostic. I'm also agnostic. I don't know whether or not Tommy McMurtry uses pumpkin lights as anal beads. I don't know, but we should ask him. Soren Tito, I have an LDS mom and a non-binary and demisexual. I am very sorry, because they are not. Your mother is not going to try and understand that at all. Happy Pride Month from Philly. If anyone is in the area, Pride festivities kick off June 7th. Don't forget to stop at Big Gay Ice Cream. Hell yeah! I wish I was around. McGay, the U.S.
Awesome. Big Gay Ice Cream.
The only reason why I'd take that back a little is I'd have to be in Philadelphia. And no, I'm just kidding. I love Philadelphia. My family, we're from Levittown, Long Island, so there's a little bit of Philly shade.
Don't backtrack when you do that. When you insult somebody's city, you got to commit. Don't backtrack.
You got to hold to it. Your baseball team sucks. McGay, the U.S. took the oil for its rainbows. Nathaniel Esposito, I think you skipped my previous super chat. No, I remember your name, so I think I hit it, but I'll scroll back down once I'm done here. Catherine Ideas, would your bro be open to coming on ever? So curious to see how your experiences differed and just enjoy an actual bromance. Darchie seems lovely. Okay, so my brothers and I have strange dynamics that I'm not positive would be good for television. Ratsui, does GRSM include paraphilias? No. It does not. Nunya, just want to say thanks for all that you do here. I hope everyone has had a fantastic Pride Month.
Just started.
So, for the record, I feel like I have to back up to the paraphilia thing. When things are extreme and dangerous, this is outside of the realm of where GRSM positivity and allyship comes up. And that technically is what paraphilia would be, is engaging in extreme and dangerous acts. And there's a huge list of things on there that definitely within the realm of paraphilia would be excluded. And that would include things that hurt people or non-consensual things. In as far as paraphilia as a clinical term, there is lots about. Now, if you're saying like, would we support anything that could be classified as paraphilia? I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but I can tell you there's a ton of things that are paraphilic that would not be included. Nunya, just want to say thanks for all that you do here. I hope everyone has a fantastic Pride Month. Thank you very much. The NIFB Jesus, first of all, thank you so much. That's extremely generous. Supporting channels that fight the NIFB, Pastor Pumpkin, hate cult, fascist, kudos. There's more to come. This week I'm going to try and do a little bit more normal content. Wait to see what's going on. We're doing some things in the background that I can't talk about right now publicly, mostly because I don't want anyone to see it coming. Thank you, LC. Arcadia Games. My mom accepts whatever I do, yet believes I am not bi and non-binary because I would have shown signs sooner. Should I try to convince her or just give up? The funny thing about that is like, a lot of us don't know what we were because we didn't know what we were existed. But the fact of the matter is, sexuality and gender exist on a spectrum, and you are capable of moving on that spectrum as you go through life. JMile69, I am a male who prefers to dress like a woman, but I am heterosexual and also prefer the company of women. I've reached out everywhere and got to nowhere. Am I just some sick pervert? No, absolutely not. That's not uncommon even. There are definitely people out there that'll like you. I remember I got a lot of shit years ago because I think what are traditionally female engagement rings are way better looking, and I think guys should be allowed to wear them too. Like when I see it on my hand, I don't think that it looks feminine or out of place. And I remember getting a ton of shit for that. People are just intimidated by what they don't understand. Stay gold, Pumpkin Boy. Well, thank you, Maija Kojio. Arcanite, I'm ex-Mormon, atheist, and foster mom to my beautiful gay son. Thank you for all you guys do to promote reason and equality. Happy Pride Month. Happy Pride Month to you too. Bonnie Gaming, love your stuff, and happy Pride Month. We are almost done here. Nerdy Ninja Temptress, I'm a pan girl who prefers women, but has mostly been with men, both for dating and in bed. It all comes down to who is into me, and it's mutual for. Good. Miles Kaminsky, thanks for being a catalyst for change. You are helping more than you know. I very much appreciate that. I really hope that that's true. Deshka Darkstorm, maybe Kyle is the Banana King. I have reason to believe that is the case.
Nope.
Fake
DJ
lava.
Kirk is the Banana King.
Oh. Fake lava. I came out to my grandmother a while ago, and now she makes sure not to let her chest touch mine when we hug. What the fuck? Your grandma's a fucking homophobe. Nathaniel Esposito, you did catch it, my bad. I wish it wasn't Milo too. No, I feel for you. I do. And there are people I was interested in. Like, I shit on Jordan Peterson all the time now. And I initially was attracted to Jordan Peterson from watching YouTube videos that I liked. Attracted, not sexually, ever. But hearing, and then as I realized so much of it was pandering and word salad bullshit, and then figuring out what was actually harmful, my fascination left. Genetically Jen, companies now have begun to capitalize on Pride Month, even though several of them flat out refused to acknowledge it at any point in the past. So here's the thing. Everybody refused to acknowledge it in the past who wasn't a member of those communities, and even many members of the communities did. I definitely see some where I'm like, okay, enjoy the dollar you're getting. But I see others, Gillette doubled down on their misogyny thing by coming out with their whole thing, their whole pro-trans. And as a person who is a creator who speaks supportive of trans people all the time, it has repercussions, and I actually am glad to see that they did that. Society moving forward will include that kind of stuff. Like in the past, they have used heterosexual displays and things of that nature as part of their ad campaigns and things of that nature. So while I totally agree that sometimes it's forced, at some point there has to be ones where it isn't forced and people are just saying, hey, let's represent what else exists out there. And we've done this before. We did this in the past where it was people, I think it's derogatorily called virtue signaling by including people of color in their magazines and their catalogs. And I don't think a lot of us look back now and say, ew, they should not have done that, even if they were just pandering and wanting to look progressive. Like, we're glad that happened and then eventually just became everyday normal. No one even thinks, well, not no one, but most people don't even think about it anymore when they see a person of color in a magazine representing a product or whatever else. And so in that same vein, while there are definitely companies where I have questioned their motives, a society that has moved on will include advertisements that look like that. And I want to get that behind us and have it just be a normal everyday thing no one thinks about.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah. Yep.
I have. I would like to, whenever you're ready,
I'm done.
I would like to close out with some wisdom from what I think is a very relevant source. I will be reading two sides from two different perspectives of The Nightmare Before Christmas to illustrate one side of this week's events and the other side's events. Number one, our side, the side that won, the side that kicked ass. Well, what the heck? I already did my best, and by God, I really tasted something swell. And that's right. And for a moment, why, even I touched the sky. And at least I left, this is me as Jimmy the Pumpkin King, of course. And at least I left some stories they can tell. I did, and for the first time since I don't remember when, I felt like my old bony self again. And I, Jimmy, the Pumpkin King, that's right, I am the motherfucking Pumpkin King. And I just can't wait till next Halloween, because I've got some new ideas that'll really make them scream. And by God, I'm really going to give it all my might. Uh-oh, I hope there's still time to set things right. Tommy McMurtry. And then we go to Tommy McMurtry's side. What have I done? What have I done, God? How could I be so blind? All is lost. Where was I? Spoiled. All of it. All of it spoiled. PayPal, the conference, everything. Everything's gone all wrong. What have I done? What have I done? I've got to find a deep cave to hide in. In a million years they'll find me. Only dust and a plaque that read, "Here lies poor old Tommy McMurtry, fucker of pumpkins." Good night.